Ladies and gentlemen, we got her. Sort of. Turns out that a federal judge has ruled that Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is in contempt of court. So now I'm going to explain what exactly she has to face because of this ruling and why. But this is according to Politico. DeVos was held in contempt by U.S. Magistrate Judge Sally Kim on Thursday, who imposed a $100,000 fine for violating an order to stop collecting on student loans owed by students of a defunct for-profit college. So now this has everything to do with Corinthian Colleges, right? So Corinthian College, if you're not familiar, they were a for-profit college that were shut down back in 2015. Why? Because they were essentially defrauding students. They were selling worthless degrees, credits that didn't transfer, and they were making tons of federal student loan money off of students. So now the government ended up shutting them down. And so what about all the people that had student loans that were still outstanding from that college, whether they had graduated or not? Well, students that had graduated with large amounts of student loan debt were eligible from the Obama administration to get their student loans forgiven by the federal government. So now, as soon as Betsy DeVos comes into office as Secretary of Education, when she was appointed to the Department of Education, she refused to forgive those loans. Now, again, this was something that happened during the Obama administration. They were ordered, the Department of Education, to forgive those student loans. The money was supposed to be returned to those students for being defrauded. Betsy DeVos did everything that she could to try to stop it, slow it down, and make it harder for people to actually file these claims. And the ones that she was, and again, there's about 16,000 loans out there right now, borrowers that are eligible to have their student loans forgiven, and Betsy DeVos continues to block every single application for them to do so, right? So now the court got involved, and they said, no, you can't do that. You can't block people from actually being able to, have their student loans forgiven. You are supposed to. And this judge issued an injunction. And now Betsy DeVos has been found guilty of basically ignoring that injunction and continuing to charge these students on student loans that they shouldn't have to pay. Of course, that affects your credit score if you don't pay them. And that can affect a lot of things in life. Wages can be garnished, paychecks, Social Security benefits even. And so it's very important that there be some sort of restitution for these students that were ripped off and that the government stop collecting on these loans. So now, U.S. Magistrate Judge Sally Kim had written in her decision, the evidence shows only minimal efforts to comply with the preliminary injunction she issued on May of 2018. Now, that injunction ordered the department to halt its collection of loans. They didn't. So now why would Betsy DeVos want to continue collecting on the loans? Well, because those are her buddies who make money off servicing the loans. Now, remember, the federal government is the main lender of student loans right now. But what the government does is they contract out the collection of student loans to these different corporations. That's why you have Sallie Mae. That's why you have Navient. That's why you have all these different companies, Nelnet, for example, that will service your student loans. That's why you actually pay them instead of paying the federal government. And of course, they make billions of dollars off this industry, especially off the interest, right? So now her friends, DeVos's friends, run these companies. And so let me give you some examples, right? So now Betsy DeVos had hired a man named Robert Eitel. Now, Robert Eitel is her senior advisor. And according to ABC News, was, quote, hired straight out of the for-profit college sector and helped dismantle regulations designed to protect students defrauded by for-profit colleges into taking out five-figure loans on promises that they would get good jobs. So now you've got the friends in the student loan servicing industry, and you also have her friends in the for-profit college industry. So now DeVos also invested in a firm tied to Performant. Now, Performant is a debt collection company. And before she was named education secretary and was required to divest from that company, within 90 days of her confirmation, she had a large stake in that company. So now, this company was accused of applying wage garnishments for debt already paid, calling debtors at work, calling family members of debtors at work, and other inappropriate and potentially illegal behavior. Now, one consumer complaint, to show you how bad this is, right? Posted online says Performant had repeatedly pestered a 90-year-old World War II veteran for a non-existent student loan with Wells Fargo. Again, this is a fake loan. It's not real, right? But they don't care. We're going to get this 90-year-old veteran to pay up anyway because we want extra money. This is their business. That's the business model that they run on. And Betsy DeVos was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to invest in this company so that I can get a giant return on investment. And then I'm going to hire people from the for-profit college industry to then not regulate the for-profit college industry. Look, that's part of her plan, right? She wants to destroy higher education. She doesn't like higher education. So what's one way that you destroy higher education? You make it so that no one can afford to get one. Now, again, remember, she is a deeply religious person. Now, I don't have a problem with religion, right? But she is an extremist. She believes that higher education should be replaced or should be eliminated, and all education should be Christian-based, Bible-based education. So I don't agree with that, and most people don't. Now, if you want to go and get a religious education or go to a religious school, that's up to you. No, but she wants to dismantle the public education system and replace it with a system that basically echoes her Christian values, which are extremist Christian values, by the way, and not normal Christian values. And so what you have here is an effort to destroy access to college and to punish people who went to school and who took out student loans. So that's what's going on here. Now, not only that, but look, DeVos also has numerous conflicts of interest. So that's why she undercut her own department's investigations into deceptions committed by for-profit colleges. She even appointed a dean of one of the for-profit colleges being investigated to run the investigation team. Hey, guy from the industry that's being investigated, I'm going to appoint you to investigate yourself. What do you think is going to happen? What, golly gee, it turns out I didn't find that we did anything wrong. But onward and forward, let's make some money. That's what this is about. She had also stopped sharing information about deceptive practices with outside prosecutors. And look, again, not only that, but DeVos has financial motives to protect these for-profit colleges. So now, one more important note, and this is kind of sad, actually. Yes, we've got some justice for the students, and that's great, and I'm going to explain how the students are going to benefit from this. But one bad thing about this is that, yes, while DeVos is named in the lawsuit, she is named in her official capacity as Secretary of Education, and so will not be personally responsible for paying $100,000 in sanctions. So that will not come out of her money. That sucks because I'd really love to have her see her have to give up one of her 10 yachts to pay this. But either way, there's a little bit of justice. The judge had ordered that the fine, $100,000, which is taxpayer money, go to a fund held by former Corinthian students' attorneys. That fund was set up to defray damages and expenses associated with improper collection of loans. So hopefully this money will find its way back into the hands of the students that were defrauded. She also ordered the government and the attorneys to come up with a plan for administering the fund. So, look, I believe that there needs to be some massive oversight of this fund to make sure that the government actually does what it's supposed to. Again, this is Betsy DeVos here, and the Trump administration that we're talking about, as well as a lot of people in the Department of Education that are the ones that, are defrauding these students in the first place. And basically stealing money is what they're doing. And so, yeah, there needs to be massive independent oversight to make sure that this money does find its way back into the hands of the people who were defrauded, so that we can have some real justice. But as for the Trump administration is concerned, and the Department of Education under DeVos, this is a rather big loss and a great decision by the judge in this case. So at least there's, like I said, a little bit of justice here. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.